Estimate before measuring. Use a known length, then check with tools.
Welcome to the Reed Measure Marsh. Dawn is breaking, and Wren the heron is already wading through the shallows, while Kit the Sheba keeps a close watch from a dry patch of grass. Wren spends her day navigating the reeds, logs, and waterways around her, and she frequently needs to know how long these things are. But out here in the wild, she doesn't carry a ruler or a measuring tape. To solve this, she relies on estimation. Instead of laying down a physical tool, she uses familiar parts of nature to determine lengths using only her mind and her surroundings. These are the 4 mental benchmarks she uses: the inch, the foot, the centimeter, and the meter. By memorizing the physical size of each one, she can measure almost anything she finds. The technique follows a simple rule. Picture a single unit in your mind, then visualize how many of those units fit across the object you are looking at. Estimation allows Wren to quantify her world instantly, turning a quick observation into a reliable measurement. Let's see this in practice, starting with a small target, a short green reed growing near the water's edge. Wren selects her smallest benchmark. She picks up a tiny pebble in her bill, and will use the width of this specific pebble to represent 1 inch. This diagram shows her process. She hops her gaze along the reed, visualizing that pebble's width fitting end to end exactly 6 times. By holding the pebble's size steady in her mind and repeating it, she translates an unknown length into a countable number. 6 pebble widths have filled the length. The reed is about 6 inches long. A few steps away lies a large fallen log. If Wren tried to count pebble-sized inches from one end to the other, she would lose track almost immediately because the unit is too small for the job. To adapt, she shifts to the next size up in her mind, the foot. For Wren, this maps directly to the physical length of her own long, slate blue foot. She climbs onto the log and paces carefully along the bark. She treats every distinct, careful step she takes as a single foot length. She reaches the end in 3 steps. Therefore, the log is about 3 feet long. Stepping up to a larger benchmark kept the math simple. Matching the size of your mental unit to the size of the object creates a faster, more reasonable estimate. Moving deeper into the marsh, Wren encounters a wider obstacle, a shallow water channel separating 2 muddy banks. Measuring this distance in inches or even feet would result in a massive, unwieldy count. She needs the largest unit she carries in her mind, the meter. We can define 1 meter as the distance Wren covers when she extends her long legs for a single massive wading stride. This diagram shows her path across the current. She takes large, sweeping strides, mapping exactly 4 big steps to reach the far bank. With 4 strides counted, she knows the channel is about 4 meters across. And when she needs to look closely at something tiny, like a single fallen leaf, she shifts down to a centimeter, which maps perfectly to the width of just one of her claws. Having a full range of mental references, from a tiny claw to a massive wading stride, allows you to independently evaluate the scale of any physical space you encounter. Looking back across the morning mist, Wren has successfully calculated the scale of 3 distinct objects in her environment, entirely without a ruler. The final estimates side by side: the reed at about 6 inches, the log at about 3 feet, and the channel at about 4 meters. Apply small units to small objects and large units to large objects. Picture the unit, then guess how many fit. Wren dips her bill one last time and wades off into the reeds, while Kit the Sheba curls his tail and trots away along the marsh edge, disappearing into the warm light. Think about your own measurements. If you needed to estimate the height of a very tall marsh cattail, would you choose to measure it in inches or in feet, and why? Internalizing these standard units changes how you see your surroundings. When you can picture an inch or a meter, you can understand the scale of any object the moment you look at it.
A good estimate is close. Name the unit. Measure to confirm.